Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to be looking at an article from Screen Rant. This is, who does Melanie Lynskey play in The Last of Us? We have an idea. Melanie Lynskey's character in HBO's The Last of Us TV adaptation might not be fully original character she was once thought to be. Melanie Lynskey started her career with Heavenly Creatures and became known for her role in 1999's But I'm a Cheerleader. Lynskey's role in Showtime's Yellow Jackets brought the actress huge amounts of attention, and she has since been in Don't Look Up, Candy, and is returning for Yellow Jackets Season 2. If you haven't watched Yellow Jackets, it's an amazing show. When Melanie Lynskey's The Last of Us character was first announced by HBO, the only information given was that she was named Kathleen and served as the ruthless leader of a revolutionary movement in Kansas City. The announcement seemed to suggest much wider divergence from the game than the TV show had originally suggested. However, other evidence in HBO's releases and small details of the original game suggest that Melanie Lynskey's Kathleen was in fact a character in the game. So, if you've played the game, you know nothing happens in Kansas City. But it looks like Kansas City is going to be replaced with replacing Pittsburgh. So the story that takes place in the game in Pittsburgh has been moved to Kansas City for some reason. An additional piece of evidence in favor of Lynskey's Kathleen being the leader of the Last of Us Hunter faction comes from an announcement around other characters. Kansas City does not appear in the game, with the Hunters being found instead in Pittsburgh. The original location makes sense as Joel and Ellie are heading from Boston to meet Tommy. Maps of their most direct route would leave Kansas City far south of their path, but it seems that Kansas City will fully replace the location of Pittsburgh in The Last of Us from HBO. It's unclear what would drive Joel and Ellie so far out of their way, but road blockings, a search for supplies and way stations, or simply a weather system could provide an explanation. When HBO released the casting announcement for The Last of Us, Henry, Lamar Johnson, and Sam Keivon Woodard, they noted that the brothers were in Kansas City hiding from the revolutionary movement seeking vengeance. Like the Hunters, Henry and Sam appear in Pittsburgh in the game, so it's clear the HBO series will fully swap out the two cities. How do you feel about that? Who Melanie Lynskey's Kathleen is in The Last of Us? Well, it is one thing to note that Melanie Lynskey's Kathleen is a leader of a revolutionaries in the Kansas City, and that her role is the same as the leader of the Hunters in Pittsburgh. It leaves a problem. The leader of the Hunters is never seen in the game. However, they are a character that exists and is fleshed out. While it requires the player to listen carefully to conversations between the Hunters in Pittsburgh without just killing them first, this Last of Us faction has a lot of information to share about their boss. They refer to their leader as the instructions given to them throughout the story set in Pittsburgh, and despite the direct confrontation, the leader of the Hunters is a very real character in the game. For HBO's Last of Us TV show to have given that leader a larger part makes a lot of sense and is a great fit for Melanie Lynskey and the Kathleen character. What Kathleen's Hunter's role means for The Last of Us. Melanie Lynskey has been confirmed to be playing Catherine in more than one of the episodes. This suggests that the story in Kansas City will span at least 2 episodes, with Kathleen serving as a menacing human villain at the head of the revolutionaries for those episodes. Giving the role to such a skilled actress might suggest that Kathleen will play a larger part in Joel and Ellie's progression. In The Last of Us video game, Joel had worked with the Hunters in the past. If that remains the case, Kathleen might know Joel and reveal his past to Ellie for him. This would also explain the choice to relocate the story to Kansas City, as it would be on the path that Joel might have taken from Texas to Boston at the start of the infection. This is also a good way to introduce some of the factions as we head into next year. Of course, the show will be next year, but we also know that the multiplayer game will come out next year. Anyway, the article continues. However, Melanie Lynskey's role as the head of the Hunters suggests a gruesome end for The Last of Us Kathleen. One of the most notable things about the Hunters in The Last of Us is not just that they're ruthless, but they hate each other. Hunters can be heard threatening to kill each other over minor disputes, and this might well extend to their leader. The Hunters do not only refer to their current leader in their game's conversations, but also past leaders who have attempted to do things such as expand beyond the quarantine zone's wall. These leaders were clearly not alive anymore, and it's likely that they either died at the hands of the infected or were killed by disgruntled hunters. So with Melanie Lynskey's Kathleen serving as a leader of the hunters in the Last of Us show, it's likely she won't survive the series, and she may even be killed by her own forces. So what do you think about these changes? What do you think about Pittsburgh being out and St. Louis being in? What do you think about seeing a character in the show that we don't actually see in the game? This is a pretty big change. And I know as fans of the game, we don't like change. We don't want to see a lot of change, but this might be good. This might set up at least one villain. I feel like we're gonna have Kathleen as a villain and David as a villain. So that might be. I feel like it's gonna be good to kind of drive the story, because in the game there's a lot of things we don't see. Especially when it changes seasons. This may give us a chance to see some of that's not shown to us in the game. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do all the YouTube things to help the channel grow, and I'll see you in the next one.